Leadership Program. In this PowerPoint presentation, I'll focus on Hello, my name is Adrienna Thomas, and I currently attend Jacksonville State University. My advisor is Dr. William Young, and today I will be presenting my comprehensive exam for the Instructional Leadership Program. In this PowerPoint presentation, I'll focus on two projects that I created throughout the program. The first project was the Action Research Plan, and the second will be the Curriculum Development Plan. My Action Research Plan focused on improving student attendance at Honeysuckle Middle School. This is a school that I currently am working at the time. In this presentation, on this plan, I wanted to come up with ways on how you can improve our student attendance. I noticed that there was a decreased rate each year in our student attendance. In addition to that, there were other areas that we were lacking due to the decrease in the attendance rate. I noticed that because we were not a community school, many of our students would have to be bused 20 or 30 minutes to coming into the school. So therefore, sometimes it created issues dealing with the parents able to transport the students. So therefore, I wanted to find ways of improving student attendance. So my action research proposal focused on three areas. The first area was improving parental involvement. The second was finding ways to improve student attendance. And finally, increasing professional development, dealing with attendance. How did I implement these programs? Well, when it came to the implementation of parental involvement, I focused on ways to allow the parents to come in the school, to want to participate, to want to become connected to their school, to their child's curriculum, and even in what they're learning. So what I wanted to do was find a way to reward the parents for volunteering and coming into the school. However, I ran into a roadblock because I realized that a lot of the parents that were volunteering were only the people that participated in our PTO program. So therefore, it really did, even though we provided incentives, it still didn't increase parental involvement. In addition to that, we changed our administrative teams. So therefore, our past principal encouraged parents to come into the school. We had an open door policy. Well, our present principal did not agree with the open door policy, so therefore that even drew parents away from coming into the school. So I need to find out better ways of increasing parental involvement. So we have to go back and revisit that area. But in dealing with improving student attendance, I think this plan that we focus on really improved our attendance rate. What we did was we decided to partnership with Spectra Care, and Spectra Care would go and find sponsors to purchase rewards or gift certificates for our students. So they found 9 sponsors, and those 9 sponsors would provide the students with either a gift card, cash, or even some type of reward. In addition to that, we provide the students a perfect attendance each 9 weeks with a program. And in that program, we acknowledge them, we praise them, and we gave every student a certificate from Chick-fil-A and a certificate for perfect attendance. Now, if you participated in that program and you received perfect attendance for that 9 weeks, your name was put in the pot to receive a chance or opportunity to receive one of the awards that was given by Spectra Care through their sponsors. And those sponsors, as I said, gave gift certificates, whether it was to Walmart or to the mall, or even provided them with headsets or clothing. So that really allowed the students to see the importance of coming to school and what they can get for just showing up at school. The second implementation of my action plan was professional development. We wanted to provide professional development not just for teachers, but also parents. So parents can understand the importance of the students attending school and what they can do to push or to engage their students to want to attend school. So these are some of the things that we did for professional development. We provided workshops that dealt with attendance, workshops for the teachers that showed them ways they can do to improve their attendance were in the classroom, engagement techniques, and also the parental involvement specialist met with the parents and told them the importance of students attending school and what the consequences could be for their lack of attendance and how they can eventually get in trouble with the law. In addition to that, we provided an attendance form, and this attendance form was given to every teacher. And it was because many of the teachers were complaining that they were not able to get in touch with parents due to the student not attending classes, so they were running into roadblocks. So what the parental involvement specialist and I created was a form, and this form would let us know when they contacted the parent, what numbers worked, what numbers didn't work, and so therefore the parental involvement specialist would go to the home and talk with the parents to connect to see where the breakdown was. We even provided before and after school conferences for parents that couldn't come during teachers' planning time. We adopted an app called Dojo in some of the classrooms where the teacher would log a student in and the parent was able to track the attendance rate, and even the students were able to track their attendance rate. And finally, we did school website training, and this is where our instructional coach and our reading coach met with teachers, and we kind of trained them on areas that we can improve our school website as far as providing our lesson plans, what days we were going to have test days, what projects that were coming up, even with the rubrics and the activity sheets that were used throughout the classroom. In addition to that, what apps the teacher was using in the classroom. So the parents were able to find out what technology, what was actually going on in the classroom, even though they were not able to come into the classroom. So throughout this program, I believe that we mastered in the Action Research Plan all of the standards for instructional leadership. However, I chose to just focus on 4 of the standards. Standard 1 talks about planning, continuous improvement. What did we do to collect and allocate resources? First thing we did was we looked at the research. Why there was a breakdown in the attendance problem. What were the students that were having problems with attendance? What were the numbers? How did it decrease each year? In addition to that, we, as I said, allocated resources. We worked with a partnership with Spectra Care and connected with them so they can kind of help us find resources to improve our attendance. And we developed a team, and this was our attendance improvement team, which consisted of me, our parental involvement specialist, and our administrators, our principal and our assistant principal. And we continuously revisit the plan each time, trying to see what we can do to improve our attendance. So we continuously looked at the plan for improvement. Standard 2 focused on teaching and learning. What feedback measures did we do to hold or to ensure accountability to improve attendance? 2 of the main things we focused on was creating an attendance folder. Teachers had every day in their classroom, they would take attendance for all of their homeroom classes, and they were responsible for marking who was present, who was absent. And the parental involvement specialist would collect those folders and put them into the iNow program, and therefore she's able to monitor who's present, who's not present, and even if they provided an excuse, she was able to put that into the system. In addition to that, teachers were responsible for taking attendance every single day in all of their classes to ensure that they knew where the students were, who was in the classroom, and who was not in the classroom. Standard 3 focused on human resources. What did we do? What did we do to select, to organize, to mentor the faculty and molding them in this project? Well, we provided attendance training. The parental involvement and I, the parental involvement specialist and I, will work with the teachers in grade level meetings, finding ways, techniques, strategies that they can use to improve attendance issues in their classroom. In addition, we did the school website training, which I talked about earlier, letting them know what's going on, showing them how to put things on the website to inform parents and students. And as I said, we worked with the attendance improvement team. That was the team that we developed. The last standard that I'm going to focus on is standard 6, which is technology. How do we integrate technology into this action plan? And what do we do to make sure we master that standard? School website training. Central office even provided a program where it was a group of teachers that was selected, me being part of those teachers. And we looked at, because we were part of the one-to-one initiative, what apps we can use as educators to improve our classroom, whether it's improving curriculum or even in attendance. So we worked on creating how to use these apps and how to show teachers what apps are current that they can use in the classroom. And finally, our iNow program. Our iNow program is where the attendance is kept, where behavior issues. So now we can see if a lack of attendance is based because they have behavior problems, and what we can do as a school to improve our attendance rate. The second part of this program, of this PowerPoint, focused on an evaluation of the Alabama 8th grade world history. We looked at the Alabama courses study for 8th grade, and we evaluated what were the positives, what were the negatives, and even what were some things we can do to change our Alabama courses study for 8th grade world history. This holds very dear to me because I have been an 8th grade teacher for over 3 years, and I kind of understand the good things and the bad things about the standards of 8th grade, of Alabama courses study for 8th grade world history. What was my plan? What plan did I want to implement for this, looking at the Alabama courses study? Well, the Alabama courses study has 6 criteria goals. Some of those goals deals with, is it related to the standards? It deals with, does it connect to the society or community? It deals with, does it help the individual leader, or the individual student? Is it helping them? Is it molding them? Is it pushing them? Now, what were the strengths? 2 of the strengths. One of the strengths to the Alabama courses study was that it was organized. You had your main goal or your standard, and then it broke it down so you're able to cover it instead of just focusing on one big picture. It was broken down into pieces. The second thing was, when you looked at the standard, you noticed that it was covered, or it was created by a variety of teachers from different grade levels. So now you have different mindsets coming in to create this Alabama courses study. But there were weaknesses. One of the main weaknesses were they didn't have any students that were on the committee. It was mostly adults. And I believe a student would have given them a different perspective, and they would allow them to see something that the student would allow them to tell them something that they wanted to learn, something that they were interested in. Another weakness was we didn't see how it connected dealing with the state and national standard. So that was some of the weakness that dealt with the Alabama course of study. However, there are solutions that I wanted to implement when it came to the Alabama course of study. So what were the solutions? The solution was to provide an attachment for educators. And this attachment tools, it provided them with graphic organizers, videos, worksheets, things that they could use in their classroom that connected with the Alabama course of study. Also, a Word document test. This test was to connect to the standard and make sure that what the teacher was teaching the student, they were able to test the student, and eventually fell back into the standard to show mastery of the standard. In addition to that, it allowed the teacher kind of make changes to accommodate their classroom, whether they had a classroom that was more special ed or even an honors class. Also, benchmark testing, making sure that they had a test that connected to the curriculum and it was statewide. Everybody used this test. Professional development. One of the things that I suggested was providing webinars for teachers on how to teach different standards, different goals, and how to make it connect to the students. Even webinars on how to focus on vocabulary or writing that dealt with the Alabama course of study. So now it goes into cross-curriculum. Now we have Not only are the teachers teaching them the standards for the Alabama course of study, but now they're teaching them the writing tools on even how to become a better writer. One of the things that I did this school year was I worked with our reading and language arts teacher, and we created a grant where we crossed curriculum and allowed the kids to create an upside down book. And in that upside down book, the English teacher focused on the writing aspect, and then I focused on the curriculum aspect. So those are some of the things that we wanted to do in the Alabama course of study. And also making sure that the state and the national standards were the same. That wherever a child moved or lived, they still were all teaching the same thing, and they didn't have to feel like they were learning more than one standard. So how did this tie into mastering the Alabama standards for instructional leadership? As I said, it covered all the standards, but I just wanted, due to time, choose 4 of the standards. The first one, planning continuous improvement. We looked at the Alabama course of study, we analyzed it, we broke it down, we looked at the positives and the negatives of it. In addition to that, we provided recommendations to improve it. Not saying that it was bad, but to make it better. When you look at standard 2, teaching and learning, what were the variety of benchmarks of feedback measures? Well, we wanted to create a benchmark testing that was statewide and that connected to the standard. In addition to that, I worked with other fellow educators on ways we can improve the Alabama course of study, on not just in my school, but on the state level. Standard 4, focus on diversity. Cultural context in the classroom. In the classroom, I wanted to make sure that the Alabama course of study not just benefited one group of students, but that it benefited all areas of students, because I taught a variety of students, African American, Caucasian, and even Hispanic, non-English speaking students. So we wanted to make sure that the course of study was beneficial to all of our students. Created lesson plans that was adaptable, not just in general ed classroom, but in my honors classroom and even in my lower classes. And being able to make adjustments, providing resources for teachers that had students that were low, and making sure the curriculum was able to adjust to their learning capability, or even our students that were high. And finally, standard 6 dealt with technology. What technology or suggestions that were provided to integrate technology? We wanted to provide web-based tools, and these tools were used with we provided these tools with the program, as I talked to you earlier about, where we got together fellow educators and we created apps or how to work those apps in the classroom. And those apps some of them were history-related apps and how to improve student engagement. In addition to that, I worked as a facilitator for the State Department, and we created PowerPoints that we were able to go into other school systems and teach teachers how to integrate or how to engage students in wanting to learn more about history and wanting to get them excited about history. And finally, creating training tools, showing the teachers resources that they can use in their classroom to integrate technology. I do believe that this program has allowed me to cover all of the standards that dealt with instructional leadership. It has taught me to be a leader that's diverse, that's able to adapt in every area, whether it's students that are high, dealing with students that are low, and then being able to teach other educators on finding ways and solutions to better their problems in the school, to better the curriculum in the school. And I do believe that when I leave this program, I will be equipped to be an effective leader that will go out and make changes. Thank you for this opportunity.